Are you a risk taker, or do you like to play it safe? Wake up leaders, this is Glenn Guyton, your cultural futurist and keynote speaker, helping you to unlock the power of your people. It is time for our executive coffee break. My goal is to equip you with effective strategies to foster a culture of innovation, reduce workplace stress, and elevate team performance. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. So, are you a risk taker, or do you like to play it safe? You know what? I'm somewhat of a risk taker in some areas of my life. You know, I ride motorcycles, but I wear my gear. Some people who ride motorcycles, they don't wear any gear, but I wear my gear. I believe in all the gear all the time. I've jumped out of airplanes. I scuba dive. So I do some things that people may say are risky. But again, I try to make sure that I understand those risks and that I protect myself as much as possible when I'm taking risk. But my philosophy is, hey, life is too short. I want to continue to enjoy my life. I want to have fun. I want to see wonderful and amazing things. I want some of the thrills of life. So that's why I scuba dive. That's why I jump out of airplanes. I don't jump out of airplanes anymore. I used to jump out of airplanes. Now, as I've gotten older, I'll probably take a few less risks, but I'm still pretty, I like to try new things. I'll just say that. I like to try new things. So, but let's think about the workplace. What does risk taking look like in the workplace? Now, in the workplace, risk taking manifests itself in different ways. We really want to talk about employees stepping outside of their comfort zone to try new approaches, innovate, or challenge established processes. Now, it can involve suggesting unconventional ideas during meetings, experimenting with new technologies or strategies, or advocating for change, which is sometimes hard in the workplace. Risk-taking also includes speaking up about issues or potential improvements, collaborating across departments, or taking on stretch assignments that push one's limits. Now, for some people, risk-taking in the workplace is a dirty word. They just want to show up, get paid, and go home. But you know what? Growth does not happen in the organization in that safe zone. We all have to take some amount of risk in order to push the envelope just enough. So now at an organizational level, risk-taking might look like launching new products, entering into unfamiliar markets, or restructuring processes to improve efficiency. It's a mindset that prioritizes growth and adaptability, and often accompanied by learning from failures rather than avoiding them. So you can't be afraid to fail if you are a risk taker, if you want to innovate in the workplace. So that's what we're talking about. Innovation, growth, progress, entering into new markets. I've done some wonderful and fantastic things because of some of the risks that I've taken. I went to Indonesia and I was able to go scuba diving in Indonesia. Now, I did think I was going to die for a minute there. I was on a boat. I didn't speak Indonesian. I was the only American on the boat. Everyone else was from Indonesia, and I was on this boat. I couldn't communicate. The boat was rocking back and forth, and I was like, Lord, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to drown here in Indonesia? I'm in the middle of nowhere. My wife kind of knows where I am, but she really doesn't know where I am. And I'm just out here with my scuba mask and my flippers. That's it. What am I going to do? But I made it back safely, of course. But was the little bit of fear that I had and going on this adventure by myself, was it worth the risk? Yes, it was. I had an amazing experience, got some amazing footage of me scuba diving in Indonesia, and I have great stories to tell after my, I don't want to say near-death experience. It's a lot. I can't tell you the whole story here because we don't have that much time, but it was exciting. But I made it. I took the risk, and I met some new people, and I've learned some new things since then. But so we want to encourage risk taking in the workplace. It's a lot safer than scuba diving in Indonesia, I promise you. So how do we encourage this in the workplace? Encouraging risk taking requires creating an environment where experimentation is valued and mistakes can be seen as opportunities to learn. Now, you as leaders can foster this by, first of all, creating psychological safety. Your employees have to feel safe enough to take these risks, to know that if they fail, that it's okay. They're not going to get ridiculed. You're not going to curse them out. They're not going to lose out on promotions because they've taken risks and things didn't work out. You have to have open communication channels where diverse voices are heard and valued and are essential. And I do mean diverse voices, diverse as far as where they are in the organization. So their position, their power, their authority, their gender identity, race, skill level, department, all types of voices are important if we want to create this environment that's safe so people can take risk. Now, we also want to reward effort, not just success. All right. So celebrate attempts at innovation, even when they don't lead to immediate success. Every ball is not going to be a home run. And, the level of risk is different depending on what environment you're in. Right. If you're hitting 300 in baseball, that's great, right? 300, but you're failing 70% of the time. But if you're hitting 30% of the time, you're great. In basketball, you want more, like 50-50, right? You want 50-50, a 50% shooter if you're just a regular shooter. From the free throw line, you want that number up into the 80s. And from the 3-point line, you want it in the mid 300s, right? The 35% or more. So effort is a good thing. And we can't expect every idea to be a winner. So we have to balance that out and figure out what is the percentage of misses that we can have in order to say, hey, this was a successful effort. Think about that, but we have to reward effort, not just success. Also provide autonomy and support. Employees need to feel empowered to make these decisions. You can't just be watching over their shoulders. It doesn't work for me, at least. If someone's constantly watching over my shoulder, I'm not going to want to perform. It's a mental thing for me. I'm not going to do my best because I feel like, hey, I can't make a mistake. They're looking over my shoulder. I can't flow like I want to flow. So we have to give people some space to make mistakes, to try some new things, and to be creative. Next, modeling risk. This has to happen at the leadership level. Leaders should take calculated risk, be transparent about their own learning experiences. And when employees see leaders are being vulnerable and innovative, then they're more likely to emulate that behavior. If you're trying new things as a leader, it's going to be infectious in the workplace. If you are fearful and everything has to be perfect, every I and every T has to be dotted and crossed, then your employees are going to pick up on that. They're going to say, hey, there's no room for error in this organization. And you may work in a field where you can't have errors at some point in the production process, right? If you are in the pharmaceutical industry, you don't want to have an error for the final product that's going out to people. But you can take some risk leading up to that during the testing phase, when you're testing new things, when you are coming up with ideas, when you're dreaming. So understand, when we talk about innovation, we have to know which part of the process that we're in when we're taking these risks. Again, I ride my motorcycle, but there are some conditions that I don't really care to ride in. I don't like really riding in the rain. I don't like riding certain times of the day when I know drivers can't see me. But again, I have my gear on when I'm riding, so I take some precautions. I'm not just out here freewheeling it. I'm not just riding, popping wheelies and doing all those things. Now, some people do that, but I don't. That's not an acceptable level of risk for me. Now, some people don't ride motorcycles at all because for them, that's too much risk. So you have to figure out what you're comfortable with. So what are some cautions for you as leaders? So while encouraging risk-taking, leaders must also manage the potential downsides. Balance risk with accountability. Again, taking a risk doesn't mean that it's a free for all. Leaders need to set clear expectations and guidelines for risk taking, ensuring that it aligns with your organizational goals. Structure is necessary. It's just like a good helmet. Structure is necessary to avoid reckless decisions that could harm the organization. Now, consider cultural differences in intercultural settings. The perception of risk can vary significantly. Now, some cultures may value risk-taking and innovation while others prioritize stability and consensus. Leaders must be culturally competent, recognizing these differences and adjusting their expectations accordingly. Now, for example, individuals from more hierarchical cultures may be less inclined to speak up or challenge authority, seeing this as risky. Now, in contrast, in more individualistic cultures, like some of us good old Americans, taking initiative might be encouraged. Leaders need to navigate these dynamics carefully to create an inclusive environment where all employees feel comfortable taking risk in a way that aligns with their cultural values and the values of the organization. Now, the other thing I want you to do is to monitor group dynamics in diverse teams. Not everyone will approach risk-taking in the same way. Leaders must be attuned to how risks are shared and discussed in groups. It's important to ensure that dominant voices don't overshadow those who are less inclined to take risk, and that the team benefits from a broad range of perspectives, or dare I say, diverse perspectives. Ultimately, risk-taking is about calculated decisions that drive growth and innovation. Leaders need to strike the right balance between encouraging bold moves and maintaining a supportive structure that respects the diverse cultural perspectives within their teams. So in closing, let's not forget, better leaders get better results. So to every one of you leading the charge for a more supportive and engaging workplace, I leave you with this. Stay bold, stay inspired, and remember that your actions today shape the culture of tomorrow. My name is Glenn Guyton. You all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.